Good morning, everyone. Time now is 7:48. So how does your flower garden grow? If you're like most people, you probably have a mix of annuals and perennials. But the question is, do you know the difference? Here to help us out with that and all of your planting questions is Tracy Pascarella from My Florist in Westbrook. Good morning, Tracy. Welcome.
Good morning. Nice to see you, Steve.
All right, so we only have one kind here today.
We're doing perennials.
People don't know well, some do. I don't know the difference.
Okay, so there's annuals and perennials.
Correct.
Both you can plant early in the summer. Annuals, the way to remember that is you have to plant them annually, every single year. Okay. They're not going to winter over. Today we're going to talk about perennials that when you plant them, they'll come back year after year.
Okay.
Okay?
So in this type of climate, it's better to do the perennials.
Well, I think it's nice to do a mix of both. You know, certain perennials, this campanula is going to be flowering early, and then it won't flower later in the year. There's different types of perennials. So some flower early in the spring, midsummer, and fall. So you can mix them in your garden so you have different activity at different times of the year. Okay. And then if you want a little color, you can pop in a few annuals here and there to add some color to your garden. The most important thing when you get your perennials, planting them, you want to give them a good start. Okay. So they're going to live.
So how do we do that?
So you want to dig a hole about 2 times the size of the pot.
So it can't stay in the pot. I can't buy this and put it out on the front porch.
You can, but you won't have it next year. So this needs to go in the ground. An annual. Right, exactly. Right. Exactly. And people do. You can plant perennials in your buckets, but you know they're just not going to come up next year. They need to winter over in the ground. So you want to dig your hole about twice the size. You want to keep half of the native soil that you dig your hole with, and you want to fill in with some nice, rich, either compost or potting soil, whatever you've got. Mix it half and half. You want to give the plant a good start, but you want to have some of that native soil too, so when the roots get out to the native soil, they don't get a little freaked out and go, what's this? You know, so you want to give them a good start. And you want to make sure that when you plant it, and you can see here, the roots have grown around the pot. Yeah. So before you put it in the ground, you want to pull all these roots apart, because otherwise they'll continue to grow in that same circle.
And that's bad.
Right, and that's bad because the plant won't get bigger. It'll just stay this size.
Okay. Now when it comes to watering, do we have to water these ourselves? Do we just use the rain?
Well, here's the thing. The first year of the perennial, when it's getting established, you want to make sure it's got really good water. There's different types of plants. So some are drought tolerant. Even though if something says drought tolerant, the first year you want to make sure that you keep it watered. You want it to be able to get established. Okay. Once it's established, then you know it can go. Now, early spring, and this year we've got plenty of water.
Sure.
Once July comes, you're going to want to water them.
Will this get bigger than this?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yep. These will continue to grow. Once they get big, if they get too big for your spot, you can split them up. If you use a soaker hose, these little hoses that you can get to put under the dirt in your garden, great way to water perennials, because they're better with a slow drip as opposed to, you know, hitting them really hard with the hose. What happens when you go out there with the hose, and if you hit it for a couple minutes, it's only going to water about this far down in the plant, and the roots aren't going to be wet.
What about these plants down here?
All of these perennials, the light purple one, that's Nepeta, that's blooming now. You see these big purple plumes coming out of the ground. Cool thing about that one, they can come back. You can cut that back, and then it'll come back again. The yellow, that's called Yarrow, the common name. And Yarrow is cool because you can cut that back and dry it. So people are into dried flowers. The best thing to do if you're thinking about planting a perennial garden is go to your local garden center or your local florist or whoever is selling these. These guys are going to be able to tell you what works in this area. Correct. You live down by the beach. Some things don't do well by salt water, and that type of thing.
Thank you so much. Once again, you always come in and you educate us on how to prepare our garden.
Thanks, Steve. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. All right, everyone, please head on over to WTNH.com. From there, you go to the weekend section, and that will take you to Tracy's website. Your website?
Yes, TracyYourFlorist.com.
There you go, TracyYourFlorist.com. Thanks.